Right, let's just make sure that's working all right. Right, that's back working okay. Right, back for part 2 with the main man, Stefan Everts. Next question I've got. It goes without saying that with winning 101 Grand Prix, you had a lot of memorable races, as well as winning 14 out of 15 Grand Prix during the 2006 season included, would be hard to beat. But what would you say was your most memorable race during your career, or a meeting that you enjoyed the most, and why does it still stick in your memory even to this day?
Oh yeah, I have a few favorite ones. One of it is Ernée, when I won the 3 GPs in one day.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But there are 2 other races that really stands out in my mind, and that's the year in Namur when it was very muddy, and I was in 8th or 9th place position, and it was nearly impossible to make any passing because it just was one line. And then I found I was talking to myself during the race, and I said it's impossible. There's no place. There's always a place to pass on the track. Just need to find where it is. And while I was thinking that, I find the spot to make the pass, and immediately I knew that I would pass everyone else on that spot because no one expected it on that spot. It was the most difficult place. That was
so the little step down bit. Yeah. I remember that.
Really steep step down.
Yeah.
There I just an extra sprint and just made the block pass. It was a risky move, but I had the confidence to go for it.
Yeah.
And I did, and it was just so funny because I knew that the whole lap was like, okay, I'm gonna get you there. I'm gonna get you there. It was just a matter of prepping everything and getting to the front and I just did it, and again, and I came back to second, and Brian Jorgensen was leading the race, but he had a 20-second lead, so it was impossible to catch him. But anyhow, I got second, and the second moto, I think I won, and I did the overall. But that was just such a moment that stand out, and something you don't forget easily. And then there was another one. It was in Austria in 2002. Okay. Back then we had just a one moto format, and I think if the Maria, he was leading the whole moto. I think from start to finish. Yeah. In the last turn, I made the pass on him, and I was preparing it for a couple of laps, and we had this whoop section, and there was a left and right turn, and it was finish. And every lap he went outside, and I took the inside and went to the whoops, and I said I'm gonna catch him there the last lap, but he was so small and to the inside on the last lap. And I thought to myself, okay, that's the end of my plan. It's gonna be I'm going for second now. So we went through the whoops, and he messed it up a little bit, and then we had the left turn, and I came out of the whoops pretty good because I was doing it every lap, so I know what was coming. And for him, he did it for the first time, so he didn't know how the rut was there, so he messed it up, and I catched him anyway going through the whoops, and then we went to the left. I mean, I cut them off, and then we had the last turn, was quite sharp, right-hander, and I cut them off again, and I just was able to go in front of his front wheel and block him, and it was just like 20 meters, and it was the finish line. So I was like, not normal. I just gave it up 3 turns before, and then last turn I still did it, and I was like, yes, this was that victory. So sweet.
Yeah, very cool one. Very cool.
One of my better ones. Definitely.
That's really cool. Okay, next one. Out of your fellow competitors, who were your best friends in your racing career, and do you still keep in contact with them now?
No, I mean, I raced a lot of guys, and
Yeah.
when you're really racing for the same thing, it's very hard to be, friends off the track. I
Yeah.
always had a really good friendship with Marnik Bevoots,
Okay.
until we started to race each other, and especially the '96 season,
Yeah.
we really went head to head for the championship, and
Yeah.
towards the end, it was really hard to hard, and the friendship was gone. What we had before was completely gone, um, and then we always wanted to be teammates one time, and
Yeah.
few years later, in 2001, I went to Team Rinaldi, and Marnik was already with Yamaha, and then finally, eventually, we became teammates.
Yeah.
What we wished for, more than 10 years ago,
Yeah.
and we had a good time, but it took him quite some time to really put the things behind him, what have happened between us as racers racing
Yeah.
for a championship, especially the '96 season. Many years after our racing career, we had a few beers together, and he finally said to me, "I've put it behind me now, and it's been very tough." And since then, we have a really good relationship, and
Yeah.
we take once in a while a coffee together,
That's
and
nice. Yeah.
we talk about racing. So I have to say, Marnik, he
Yeah.
was like, I wouldn't say best friend, but my good mate
Yeah.
when we was very young, and eventually we became good friends again afterwards. So nice story.
Very nice story. I like that one. Next one. What do you miss most about your racing days at the top level?
But just being out racing,
Yeah.
it gives you such a pleasure feeling to be able to race and control your motorcycle and control the track. I was able to even control my competitors for a quite long time.
Yeah.
So I think eventually it all came down to having that control about something. And some things takes a lot of years to learn to control them.
Yeah.
Control your motorcycle is something difficult. It takes a lot of hours of training,
Yeah.
and it's the same with tracks. Dealing with different tracks, different weather situations, and then competitors. So many different competitors. So I think this whole package just I loved so much. And when I retired in 2006, it was with a lot of pain in my heart to say goodbye to the sport.
Yeah.
Because I could have continued for another 50 years if it really had to, because I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the whole thing, the whole scene. I loved it so much, and I still do. And I'm happy that Lee is racing in a way. I am happy to see him, and he's doing well. And it brings back some of those feelings. It's not the same to stand there yourself and do it yourself. It's different, but enjoyed him doing it.
That's cool. Okay, do you have any regrets from your racing days at all? As in, were there any meetings or races you feel you should have done better at, or maybe a race that got away from you, or was there a certain bike that you raced for a season that you probably wish you hadn't?
Well, I think, a lot of things have happened, good and bad, and I think one decision that I've made to go and race Husky, think that's a decision that was wrong afterwards, because I believe that I could race with any bike, and I could do in any bike well. At that point, I think Grant had a big influence on myself, and he also kind of pushed it in that way, but eventually I made the decision to do it. But one big regret was maybe that step going to race the Husky. But all the rest happened. 98, I've lost the championship. 94, I mean, I lost a few championships, but you need sometimes things like that happen to you to make you even stronger. And the whole scene with Grant put me down really deep at one point, but I came back strong. So in a way, I mean, maybe I needed that to go so deep to come back even stronger.
Okay, cool. Can you tell us a funny story from your racing day memories?
Oh, funny story. Cool. Oh, funny story. I have a story from Japan. It's not really a funny story. We had a 3-motor format. I think it was in '92, and I mean, Japan was always very humid in the summer, very hot, very humid, and I went to the start line, and back then we still had 30 seconds, and then 5. And now it's 15.5.
Yeah.
And I remember you put up the 30-second board, so you put on your goggle and stuff. By the time I put my goggle on, I broke my goggle. I snapped it off.
Oh no! So, strap, yeah.
The strap broke. So plastic put together, and you can make it smaller or bigger. Yeah. And that snapped, and I was like, "Oh shit!" I couldn't do nothing, you know. So I started without goggle.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it was impossible because the track or the dirt was quite hard, and it was rocky and big clots of mud. So I got all the roost in my eyes, and I couldn't race. So after one lap, I went in. I was already dead last. I went in, and they got me a goggle. That's maybe a bit funny. I didn't have any goggles prepared, so they took the best first goggle they find, and they gave it to me. And it had one side of the roll-off on, and the other side it was nothing. There was the holes in there. I had no tear-offs. I had no roll-off. I had nothing, just one lens. I did another lap, and it was again dirty. So at the end, I had to retire the race. So that was such a fuck up. But after that, I always had a second pair of goggles ready. This only happened
so
once.
it was an experience then,
Yeah.
For sure. Oh, that's a cool story, actually. Okay, next one. Can you tell us what your personal view was of in 3 words, your racing style?
3 words. Economic. Smooth.
Yeah.
And the third one is difficult. I cannot say it in one word. Is like I would give you the impression I'm very slow, but I'm fast. So I'm kind of like how you call that?
Make it look easy.
Yes, but how do you call a guy who kind of puts you on the wrong way of thinking?
Racking the brain.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know what you mean. It sort of makes you look like you're not trying.
Yeah. When I look slow, for sure I was the fastest. When I look fast, I was slow.
I think as well as you, I think, say, JMB was like that.
Yeah, JMB, he looked also quite stiff on the bike, not so... Yeah, and he looked like he was not putting in a hard effort, but...
Yeah, I definitely think that was like you as well, 100%. That's brilliant. Next one. What were your strengths, do you feel, and possible weaknesses you feel that you had during your racing days?
I think technique and talent was for sure from day one a big a big plus that I had.
Yeah.
I think the character of being tough for myself was a very weak point in the beginning. So
Okay.
my father, he was the opposite. He wasn't so talented, but he had a very strong character. And when he teach me in the first 5 years how to become a champion, it was a very tough learning school for me. But eventually I went through it, and he made me strong. He made me become stronger and a stronger character for myself to really learn to suffer. Um, so that was for sure a weak point that I had in the beginning. Beginning of my career. But I always knew that I realized really early that I know I have a lot of talent and technique.
Yeah.
And if I work hard physically then, and I can put that together, then I'm able to win.
Yeah, you know you're in business, yeah.
There I took a lot of learn to become to build up my confidence.
Yeah.
So it was a matter of putting all your points together, and then you got it, and you just need to finish it off on the weekend. It's just a matter of all the hard work, and if you don't have the technique and the talent, it makes it already a lot harder to go against guys who have technique and talent. But those guys don't always have the character to train hard and to do their best. There's a lot of examples in the past that some talented riders they didn't have the hard character to go and train hard for it, and they didn't make it. They did a few outstanding results, but they never became a champion.
Yeah, need the whole package. Next one, if you could re-race a meeting or a race tomorrow in your full prime, where would it be and why?
Yeah, I mean, I lost a couple of championships. Maybe one of those meetings I would change. I mean, 94, I've lost really with a few points, and then 98 with Sebastian, and I mean, even 2003 when I raced the MX2 as a warming up class, I mean, only a few points that I missed at the end. So I could have, I would change some of those races, and I would have easily had a few more championships. But that's the way it is.
That's right, yeah. What do you actually feel was your best achievement in motocross, and what was your career goal when you set out on your motocross journey?
Well, I mean, it starts off of becoming a champion. When I was young, I didn't have in mind to go and win 10 championships. That's a dream that was impossible at that stage. But you start somewhere, and okay, the first stage was to become a world champion and get in front, and then the next goal was coming up to be as good as my father and try and win 4 championships. Well, as soon as I got close to that, I started to go to Joel's Robert record of 6. I want to beat that record, so the goal was 7. But as soon as I got to 7, it's like, oh yeah, let's keep on going, and then chance to wrap it up with 10, and I was like, okay, that's perfect, So during my career, I've kept changing my goals. My goals. So I think it's important to have dreams, and as a kid, my biggest dream was to become a champion, and you need to have dreams. If you don't have dreams, you'll not be able to realize anything. Not every dream will come true, but it doesn't matter. But a dream can be a motivation to something, to go for something. And if you don't achieve it, at least you've tried.
Do you ever think to yourself now, are you still like, wow, I've won 10 world championships?
No, I mean, no, for me, no. I mean, I'm at a different stage in life now, and racing is behind me, and I mean, a lot of people keep reminding me on
I was
this,
going to say people like me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they admire what I've achieved, and
of course. Yeah, of
uh,
course.
it's nice. I like
Mm,
that.
yeah.
I appreciate that. But it's not that I'm every day, squeezing my skin and saying, I'm a 10-time world champion." No, I'm not. I'm not. This is the past, and I'm a father of two
Yeah,
kids. I have to raise my daughter and my son, and
yeah,
I have a wife. So we have our normal problems like every family has, and I have to deal with it. And if I'm now a 10-time champion or a 100-time world champion,
yeah.
it's not
Normal
changed that
life, normal
situation.
life. Yeah.
Normal life.
I'll do the skin pinching that I'm talking to Stefan Everts. I'm sure you get that a lot. Um,
Yes, I do
yeah.
get it sometimes. Yeah.
How does that make you feel when people are so in awe to speak to you or meet you? How does that feel?
Well, yeah. I mean, like I said, I appreciate it, and
Yeah,
if no one would care about this, that's also not nice. So
yeah,
I try to enjoy it,
yeah,
and maybe it's a certain moment it's like, oh yes, another one, and
yeah,
it passes by.
yeah,
But I respect it, and I try to enjoy it,
yeah.
So
It's a cool thing. You achieved it. How did you find transitioning from the World Championships to racing against the Americans in America at the Motocross the Nations? Did you have to make any adjustments to compete with the Americans, or did you do anything different, or just race normal?
no, I mean it was most of the time one race a year. Most of the
Yeah,
time it was in Europe.
yeah,
I've done a couple of supercrosses in '92.
yeah.
So
Remember
for
that?
me, this was more to adapt to their racing system,
Mm-hmm.
and it was completely different. So I enjoyed that time. It was a great experience. I've done, I think, one national in Unadilla,
Mm-hmm.
'97. That was a good experience. So the nations, I mean, for us, it felt like it was just another GP with
Mm-hmm.
other riders on the start line. I mean, most of them were the same, except you have three good American races on the start gate. But no special changes. Just go and race for your country flag and give your best.
Cool. Who were the riders that you used to always seem to have run-ins with and didn't really enjoy racing with very much? Are there any particular guys that spring to mind? Or
I have two guys
okay,
that towards the end of each moto, I
yeah.
had to lap them.
All right,
And
okay.
it was an Italian rider, Odenino, and it was I think a Latvian rider, it was Freibergs.
All right,
And
okay.
every time it was like 2 laps from the end or 3 laps from the end, I had to put them on one lap. And they were always on my way. They never made room for me. They never went on the side. I had to go around them.
Yeah,
And it was every time I was like, shit, here you have him again.
yeah,
And but yeah, I mean it's funny. It's more like a funny story. I mean
yeah,
they try to race at their best and everyone is at their level.
yeah,
Um, but for the rest, I had some nice guys to race with, and I mean my time with Greg Albertine was maybe
yeah,
not the best from outside. I mean, at that time it was two guys. Two guys were cocky to each other,
yeah,
uh, and he had that feeling about me, and I had the feeling
yeah,
about him. So, but I mean, at the end, I haven't seen Greg a lot, but when we see each other, I mean, it's behind us now. I mean,
yeah.
we're older and racing is done and finished, and it's we can have a laugh about it how we was back then. So
Yeah. You had some epic battles. I remember that. You had some epic battles with him.
yeah, yeah.
For sure. Next one. Who were the three best riders you would say that you competed against during your career?
I think for sure Sebastian Tortelli, the '98 season, coming back to that one. I think Michael Pichon, we had a few tough battles, and I had a couple of tough ones with Joel Smets.
Yep.
And yeah, Tony Schmidt raced, Bob Moore.
Yeah. It was such a stacked era, wasn't it? So,
with Joel, it was also a bit different because we was two countrymen from Belgium, and I mean the press liked this and they put us against each other. So there was a bit of battle already inside here to be who is a better one in our country. You know, it's not just out there on the track. So that made it even more special. Our battle against each other. So and Joel, we had a couple of really good hard GPs against each other. That I said, fuck, Joel was good. You know, I gave my best, and he was still there on my ass for 40 minutes. Let off. I didn't. So we had a few good battles. So he was a tough one also.
Okay, thank you. Right, we'll just call that the end of part 2 then, and we'll be back in a second.